Hello, my name is Ifeanyi Wejike and welcome to my channel. First off, I would like to apologize for not uploading a clip last week. Last week was a bit hectic and all over the place, so I do apologize that clip wasn't uploaded. However, what have I been working on of late, or what did I do last week during the mad rush in my life? Well, technically last week I was, and still am, struggling to plot or establish a villain for my novel. I suppose I'm trying to determine how evil my villain would be, or if I would even have a set or specific villain, to be honest. Like, part of me is thinking of writing it in a way where the audience can decide or who or what the villain is or stuff like that, but it's still formulating up there kind of thing, but we're still working on it, or I'm still working on it. um I suppose why the villain part of the novel, it seemed, I think one reason why I'm probably struggling with the villain part of the novel, because I think part of me has always felt that a good novel or story is only as good as its villain. I know that sounds quite dark, but I don't know, it's like the villain kind of makes the main character great or a hero by forcing or making the hero rise up to the occasion. That makes that main character the hero. So, like, without the villain, is the main character a hero? But then again, part of me is thinking, well, I suppose that's probably a simplistic way of looking at things. Maybe it could just be circumstances that the person goes through. Like, I mean, if you're looking like everyday life, for example, I wouldn't say you or myself runs around with villains that we have to go fight and conquer and stuff like that. It's just based on circumstances, and the circumstances determine what decisions we make, whether they're good or bad. And hopefully, those circumstances will help us grow and learn things or reflect on and grow and evolve and stuff like that. Well, still working on that. So, at first, last week, whenever I was struggling with my villains, which I still am struggling with it, I was like, well, I tried to get some inspirations from famous villains like Cersei Lannister or Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. But it didn't seem to work. I suppose, quite honestly, as much as I think Cersei Lannister makes a brilliant villain because she's like high up in the list of villains that were brilliant as a villain for me, anywho. I found it hard to relate to her as a person, to be honest. Like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, she was a great villain, but I just found it hard to relate to her for me to write about her as a villain. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that bit out, to be honest. Whereas Daenerys Targaryen, on the other hand, like, I felt like I could relate to it. Well, not directly, but I could sort of see where she's coming from. But then I still don't honestly think she's a villain. Like, I don't count her 100% as a villain. I would probably see her more of a person that cracked under the circumstances she was dealt. I know, like, thank God I've never been in her shoes, but like, I definitely would have cracked if I was in her shoes. Probably would have cracked a lot earlier than when she did, but that's just me. But I don't know. I don't see her as a villain. I just see her as someone that cracked under the circumstances. But then, yeah. So said, still working on the villain bit, which seems to be the hardest bit I'm finding with writing this. Yeah, so far. Because I think the villain kind of dictates the main character. Then I'll just see how it goes so far. Anyway. What else? I suppose, yeah, because I do talk about this novel with my family and friends to try and help me better understand what I'm writing about sometimes. Or sometimes I kind of play it in my head to try and see different angles I could go with it, but I don't know. Just the other day, I was talking about the novel the other day with family, and I was trying to explain how my amateur writing is akin to method acting. Not really, but this is just me being silly and just talking about stuff. I think from my point of view, I kind of thought it was like method acting because, like, where I'm virtually constantly trying to live in the world that I'm creating in my head. So hence I thought the term would be like method writing because I'm trying to live in that world constantly. I'm trying to see how things from my everyday life could be slotted in here and there or can shape the events in it. I know, but still working on it. So technically, I said the novel is constantly in my mind. I sometimes look at different events in my life, like my day-to-day life, that can inspire my writing. So, funny enough, just when I was beginning to lose hope with my writing last week, like literally ran out of, I kind of came to a wee stop where I was kind of like I knew I had like a bit of an idea of where I was going with it, but I kind of just felt it was a bit not dull, but it kind of missed something. So I was just kind of wanted to juice it up a bit. And luckily for me, I came across an event last week which kind of helped in a way. How I say, well, helped me because I think the event was kind of pretty intriguing. Fortunately, in that case, I can't really talk about it because confidentiality and all whatnot, but it did kind of help me inspire an idea for my novel, which I'm currently working on. Hence, I decided to seek further inspiration that could, like, from either movies or TV series that are in the same universe or field as what happened, which can help me convey that idea or, I don't know, set the scene of what I'm trying to say. Because I find like it's kind of hard for me to convey some of my ideas clearly. So I would like try to see how I can convey it in other works of art, or see how it is conveyed in other works of art. So like my main aim is my aim is still to convey that idea, but hopefully in a way that is easy to for the audience and everyone to understand. As you can see, I'm rambling here, but bear with me. So I do try and discuss some of the ideas, like I do try and discuss it with family and friends, and I just struggle to express it. So hence why I do try and see if something similar to that idea has already been expressed or shown in other media. For example, say I often turn to express by watching or reading sci-fi novels or films to just see, because like I find with, like, for example, there's so many ideas or genres, like there's so many stories or novels or films on time travel, but each of them are all different in their own way. They have their own wee tweaks here and there. So sometimes, because the idea is already there, it might be hard for me to try and say what I need to say. But sometimes I could go, well, not copying what they're doing, but it just helps me convey that idea, but in my own way. Staying true to what I wanted to say all along. Because especially if I'm trying to explain it to somebody else, so trying to explain to them what I'm trying to say is a lot easier for me to go, well, like in this film, well, that's what I'm explaining to someone else what I'm trying to say. And I find that the more I talk about the idea to other people, the more it helps me explain and convey it. But then I suppose I have to be very careful who I convey it to. Want to make sure they actually want to hear what I'm trying to say, but to, I don't know. Yeah, usually make sure they actually want to hear what I'm trying to say. And actually in the zone with what I'm trying to say. But usually my family and friends have been really helpful, so that's a good thing. So another thing I was trying to do last week is I was and currently am thinking of doing some flash fiction and some short story exercises to help train and exercise expressing my creativity and imagination. As you can tell, this is also another way of helping me train and exercise my expression, how I express myself or convey my ideas or what I'm doing. So I thought all these will help, maybe in my writing or even in everyday life, because I mean, there's hardly any job out there or any aspect of life that doesn't involve communicating to someone. So all this is hopefully like an exercise or training for myself in the long scheme of things. Transferable skills, yay! Anyway, so I'll let you know how it goes and how, well, hopefully, as this has all being documented, we'll see how things progress as we go along. And maybe I might actually share some of my flash fiction and short story exercises with you. So bear with me. I am still learning, so we'll see how it goes. So as of last week, some literary influences or inspirations I encountered last week would be the 2021 film called parallel. That was actually really good because that kind of goes with the whole time travel interdimensional thing, which was really helped me see the idea I'm working on from a different perspective. Like, it's not exactly what I'm working on. It's not the same idea to what I was thinking, but it kind of made me think, I didn't think of it in a way, but still, I'm still gonna do it my way. But at least sometimes you're like, I could express it. Well, not express it, but like convey, explain. I suppose if I'm trying to explain it to someone else, it's a lot easier for me to explain it to like a family member or friend. Well, if I'm saying, well, if you think of it from that perspective, rather than just going, oh, but then this, and then you're like, what's she on about? So sometimes it's good seeing things from someone, and sometimes it can actually help me further understand what I'm trying to say. Because sometimes it's like how I say it, it's like whenever you're telling someone something, but there's a particular word you want to say, but you can't remember that word, but you know what you're trying to say. So sometimes when you see someone, it's kind of then like, and then maybe you have a friend or family member who's trying to give you a list of different words that is what that they think is what you mean, and then eventually they say a word and like, yeah, that's it. So that's how I feel I see me watching films or reading books or different works of literature that are within that genre. Is me, I know what I want to convey, but I kind of want to convey it in a way that is easily understandable, kind of thing. Another literary another thing that influenced me last week was 2021 film called Boss Level that did the whole interdimensional thing. Yeah. And then another one is 2018 film Mile 22 featuring Mark. I do apologize for pronouncing his name wrong. Wahlberg. I really like that film. Like, it's not technically in the sci-fi genre, but it was in the whole espionage type thing of where the whole whodunit, well, not whodunit, when you thought someone was the villain, but when you thought that kind of thing where in the end you're like, didn't see that coming, kind of thing. So kind of case of where like I'm struggling with the villain, but I'm thinking, should I actually make my villain that obvious, or should I just do the whole where you're going with the story and you think is that one, but it's actually someone else kind of thing? So that's why I'm kind of, that kind of was helping me see. That's where it got me thinking maybe I could just write in a way where the audience gets to decide, or just rather than making it very obvious from the start who the villain is, just kind of lead them on and see what happens at the end, kind of thing. But I said I'm still working with it at the moment. And then another film that was quite inspirational was a 2021 film called Eternals featuring Angelina Jolie. I love comics. I've always been into like DC, Marvel, this kind of comic books and everything. So superheroes, my favorite. I suppose that's probably why I'm so hell bent on writing my heroes, because I'm so used to comic books and like superhero films where there's always like a set hero and set villain. Well, not always. There's some comic books like The Boys where superheroes are not actually the heroes, they're actually the villains to some extent. So, but at least the roles are clearly defined, who is the hero and who is the villain, kind of thing. But I'm at the stage where in the book there's no clear hero and there's no clear villain, and still working on that. See how it goes. Another TV series, another inspiration I grew from last week was a TV series called Billions. I love this TV series because technically it's one of those films where if you're gonna look at it, I suppose it's a case where there are loads of characters in the films who, like, the main characters sometimes are not actually, they're not heroes, but they're not villains, but they do occasionally do some stuff that could be seen a bit like, and some stuff that you think, it's not bad. But still, I don't know, I love, like, films and TV series like that, where I know I'm kind of contradicting myself where I said I like comic books. I still love stuff like that, but I still like stuff where there's, how I say, shades of grey, where things are a bit, I suppose based on the circumstances where people kind of have to rise to the occasion, which is kind of like life, because we don't all walk around going, right, that's my arch nemesis, or that's my enemy, or technically in real life, everyone is the main character of their own story. So I suppose that's probably a way I could look at my writing. Anywho, well, that is it for today. Thanks for stopping by, and I will hopefully upload my next video for this week. Thank you. Bye.